following a dramatic day in the courtroom for a family who lost a loved one in the crash of Flight 3407. All but one lawsuit is settled in the crash. They claim 50 lives.
A family was in the quiet safety of their home when their lives suddenly changed forever.
Karen Wielinski and her daughter somehow managed to crawl out of when the plane crashed in their house in Clarence Center, but Karen's husband, Doug, was killed. Now, 5 years later, the family wants justice, but lawyers from the other side say parts of the lawsuit should be thrown out. News 4's Rich NEWBERG has been listening to the case. Rich?
Don and Jackie, the family of Doug Wielinski says it has not gotten fair treatment by the airlines involved in the crash of Flight 3407. We're learning more about what happened that terrible night when the plane crashed into the Wielinski home.
It's a terrible, terrible tragedy that will affect our lives forever.
When Flight 3407 crashed into the Wielinski home on February 12, 2009, Karen and her daughter Jill managed to escape. Karen, in the back of the house, had a broken shoulder. Jill, in an upstairs front bedroom, had some abrasions from flying debris. Doug, who was in the middle of the house where the plane crashed, was not killed on impact, according to the family's attorneys, who say he suffered greatly as his body was burning. And yet, the Wielinski family is the last of the families who lost loved ones to have their case considered for settlement, and according to their attorneys, are being offered half of what some passenger families were offered.
This family has lost everything. They lost their husband and father. They lost their home. They lost the physical memories of their loved one. Their loss is so much greater. Their loss should be triple or quadruple what anybody else's loss should be.
The Wielinski family is suing Continental, Colgan, and Pinnacle Airlines for what they say was Doug's conscious pain and suffering, as well as his fear of impending death. They are also asking for punitive damages and compensation for what Karen and her two daughters have suffered.
Every day it's a reminder of the accident, what we went through, and just having to deal with the loss of my dad.
The airlines have asked State Supreme Court Justice Frederick Marshall to dismiss some of the claims, and Continental does not want to bear any liability, saying it was not responsible for hiring, training, or supervising Colgan airline pilots.
These were Colgan employees trained by Colgan pursuant to an FAA-approved training program. Continental had zero control.
Their logo was on the piece of plane that my daughter and I first witnessed when we emerged from the rubble, so their logo was on the plane.
It had the exclusive rights to all of those planes. It was the only one that could sell a seat on the plane. Colgan couldn't get those airplanes in the air without Continental.
Kim Wielinski, the other daughter, arrived at the house shortly after the crash, and the family says she too has been deeply impacted.